9. Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Unidentified aerial phenomena reporting is increasing, enabling a greater awareness of the airspace and increased opportunity to resolve UAP events. In addition to the 144 UAP reports covered during the 17 years of UAP reporting included in the Office of the Director of National Intelligence preliminary assessment, there have been 247 new reports and another 119 that were either since discovered or reported after the preliminary assessment's time period. This totals 510 UAP reports as of 30 August 2022. Additional information is provided in the classified version of this report. Welcome to the Alien Probe podcast. It is January 14th, 2023. I'm Doug, and joined today is Dr. Bill.
Hey,
What do you think, Bill? Get any answers?
any answers?
In the new
It's
report?
something. It's something. It's finally come
Well,
out.
it's a lot better than the last one. The last one was ridiculous. It didn't have anything.
Well, this spent a lot of time talking about the setting up the program and issues of coordination and things like that. So yeah, I think there's progress. It looks like there's been progress.
I feel like we're just not going to know anything, though. Everything's going to be classified. Yeah, we had to do these things and report these things to the people we need to report, and then AARO is going to be the reporting office. They're going to run everything. Which I didn't even know what AARO was. I was like, "What's AARO? That's new."
AARO. Where's there a AARO? ODNI. Oh, all domain anomaly. They do all domain anomaly resolution office, AARO.
That's new to me.
They made the mistake of they presented the term and then they defined it later in the text, which is that's weird. They're going to get points off their paper.
And then later on they defined all the way through KLMNOP the things that need to be reported, which included all the things we always talk about, like is it near a nuclear plant or submarine or aircraft carrier, all these things, that's a specific type of reporting. And they, I won't go through every one of them. It's what we always talk about.
Yeah, I highlighted a couple of the things. Did you know there's a time limit on this?
Yeah, what was
31 October 2026.
Yeah.
Until 31 October.
Renew it.
Yeah.
After that, you're getting nothing.
So this this whole program may disappear in four years.
Well, the public, they'll present nothing. They got to do this every quarter, I think, is what they're talking about.
Yeah, let me see.
This isn't an annual report. This is a quarterly report.
Quarterly, let me see. Well, that's actually pretty good.
So what are they going to tell us? First of all, they've started this last year, didn't they? This isn't the first one.
This is the second report. It says annually. There was something about quarterly in here.
Something about quarterly. I saw
I didn't make a note of that.
ABCD.
ABCD.
It was the ABCD, DFG, hold down the...
Oh, it's in the alphabet list?
Yeah.
It's a...
where I saw quarterly in here somewhere.
1 year.
I read the whole thing.
Yeah, there was something about quarterly. I did too. I just read it this morning.
All 8 pages of it.
It's 11 pages.
Oh, is it 11?
It's 11 pages. Well, let's see, what do I got here? They got, so yes, as you just said, reporting increased, total of 510. Safety, possible threats, safety, flight hazards, potential adversary collection platform. And this increased reporting allows more opportunities to apply rigorous analysis. UFO events continue to occur in restricted or sensitive airspace. highlighting possible concerns for safety of flight or adversary collection activity. We continue to assess that this may result from a collection bias due to the number of active aircraft and sensors combined with focused attention and guidance to report anomalies. AARO, in conjunction with NIM Aviation, National Intelligence Manager for Aviation, and the intelligence community will continue to investigate any evidence of possible foreign government involvement in UAP events.
So they're going to report to AARO, and it's going to be classified probably. We're not going to be able to hear about any incidents or what they're doing, or it's going to be pretty worthless for us, I feel.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to...
Thanks for telling us what you're going to do and how it's going to be reported, but you're not going to tell us shit.
Well, they do.
I guarantee it.
They do acknowledge a public component that's in here, and they said that that is part of the process is a public component and efforts to sort of release information without releasing classified information. It's in here. I think I highlighted
nothing good. So nothing that's really going to help us to understand what the hell is going on here.
Well, here it is. Well, it's under partnerships and collaboration, and they say ODNI and AARO are committed to the responsible sharing of UFO findings with interagency partners such as FAA and NASA, other stakeholders, congressional oversight, international partners, and the public. AARO is working closely with the OSDPA and mission partners to develop an information sharing and messaging strategy that aims to maximize transparency while maintaining appropriate protections of sensitive sources and methods. So there may be some information released, but I agree with what you're saying is that we're not going to get anything exciting.
Well, at least they're acknowledging that they've encountered craft with some very unusual flight characteristics. I mean, that's as close as they've kind of come to. That's one of the, I don't know which letter it is.
Yeah, which they got a lot of letters.
But that's one of the things that, is specifically as reported and what the flight characteristic was. And they're really, the stigma of air, we've talked about this before. I would say that. But the aircraft pilots, commercial and military, the stigma has now been released. It's a requirement basically to report it. You need to report it.
Yeah.
Instead of, you better not report it, we're going to pull your flight status.
Yeah.
So now we've come this far in this day and age, and that, this is pretty much what this says. And I don't know I hope they say something, but confidence is not high.
No, it's not
That's all
high.
I can say.
We'll see. They say 171 unknown, uncharacterized and unattributed UAP reports. Some of these uncharacterized UFOs appear to have demonstrated unusual flight characteristics or performance capabilities and require further analysis. It says they're also getting reports from the Air Force. And that was actually a question that Chris Mellon brought up in an article that he wrote, where he was saying, we're just seeing reports from the U.S. Navy, but we're not seeing anything from the U.S. Air Force. So I think this is a bonus, a plus from the new reporting requirements that the Air Force is now reporting unusual activity if they see it, which is good. So it's something.
I'd hope.
And then they also, have flight safety concerns and health implications. Now, this was interesting because when you interviewed Corey as Gary Nolan, in that interview, he talked about Gary Nolan in his interviews will talk about he was brought in by some government agency for looking at MRI data with people that were affected. I think it was the what was that thing they were talking about? Embassy people were being targeted by, some sort of radiation or something. And people, he also talked about, then there was that report, which we got no information about, from something with the Bigelow involvement, where he talks about that weird report with no information that says that people have had adverse effect with contact with UFOs. And then we have case files of incidents where people had physical interactions and adverse effects to UFOs. And there's one of the things that they said in here is that they had no evidence of any physiological negative effects due to UFOs.
Well, that was another letter category, is that people getting sick when they come in contact with UAPs, UFOs, whatever.
That's something they're supposed to document. But here under, it says flight safety concerns and health implications. They said, to date, there have been no reported collisions between U.S. aircraft and UFOs. Regarding health concerns, there have also been no encounters with UFOs confirmed to contribute directly to adverse health-related effects to the observers.
Yeah.
Acknowledging
all things we've chatted about before.
Yeah, and they say acknowledging that health-related effects may appear at any time after an event occurs, AARO will track any reported health implications related to UFO should they emerge.
Yep.
So they talk about the number of what you mentioned before, the number of new incidents reported. The AARO has been established as a DoD focal point for UFOs, leading a whole of government approach to coordinated UFO collection. They're going to collect UFOs. There's a time limit. In 4 years, this may just vaporize. We may be back where we were starting in 1972. 1926. Starting in 1972, I guess, when the Condon report came out that said UFOs, there's nothing to UFOs. It's interesting because I was reading, I'm still reading Jacques Vallée's Trinity book, and I've been reading Frank Edwards' Flying Saucers, Serious Business, which was, I picked up years ago and never read. That was published in 1965. And they talk about the Socorro incident.
Yeah.
Which was
we talked about last week.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot to there's the Trinity, and then shortly after Trinity there was the Socorro incident with the copper.
Yeah.
What the hell was his name? I should remember his name. Who's driving? Zamora.
Yeah.
Sergeant Zamora. And it's interesting because I have the Frank Edwards is talking about how Hynek dropped the ball with the Socorro incident and Zamora. And then in the Vallee book, Vallee goes into detail about Hynek and the troubles that he encountered when he was trying to research it, to go out there and investigate it, not research it, investigate it. And it reminded me of when Ruppelt went out to the Pentagon shortly after the big UFO flap over the Capitol in 1955 or 56. And Ruppelt, who was head of Project Blue Book, couldn't get any traction when he went out there to look into that. They wouldn't even give him a car. So they're like, he wanted to go talk to people and do some investigating. And they're like, well, we were not giving, the Pentagon wouldn't give him a car. So he was like, well, I'm not going to, how am I supposed to get around? They go, well, just take a cab. He goes, I'm not going to get reimbursed for it. He goes, you telling me I got on a captain's salary in the 1950s? It's like, spend your, Spend your lousy
Spend your own
salary.
money.
Yeah, lousy salary riding cabs around D.C. to talk to people, to do your job. So it reminded me of that. Hynek apparently had a lot of problems with that investigation. So it's I might talk about that some more in the future. But Frank Edwards in his book was just saying that Hynek really dropped the ball on it and has a low opinion of Hynek. So it's interesting to see these two different takes on Hynek. One from one from Valley, who was working with him, and one from Frank Edwards, who was a reporter talking about it. So coming back to the annual report, a couple of things I highlighted. It says elements, and then the alphabetical list it identification of any incidents or patterns regarding unidentified aerial phenomena, UFOs, that indicate a potential adversary foreign government may have achieved a breakthrough aerospace capability. And then K, that was I, and then K, keep K, an update on efforts underway on the ability to capture or exploit discovered unidentified aerial phenomena. That's interesting. Yeah, capture or exploit. And then they go on to... What's that?
I don't know if we've captured, we think we've captured some. We don't know where they put them. There's nothing in here about what we're to do about that. Well, if we capture something that's unusual, what's going to be done? AARO. We'll store it.
Yeah, we'll store it.
And study it.
Store
it somewhere.
The legislation was supposed to mandated that they do record searches. So there's nothing about the record searches in this report. I don't know. Maybe that'll come out with the next report. But and then the other things that's interesting, and you mentioned that, is the nuclear components. Yeah. Well, there's the assessment of any health-related effects, incidents around nuclear assets, strategic nuclear weapons, nuclear-powered ships and submarines, and then anything in consultation with the chairman of the NRC, Nuclear Regulatory Commission, the number of reported incidents and descriptions thereof of UFOs or drones of unknown origin associated with nuclear power generation stations, nuclear fuel storage sites, or other sites or facilities regulated by the NRC. And this is critical because of terrorist activity. So you want to know anything that happens around these nuclear facilities.
Yeah, that's one of the things that they're talking about, is if it's adversarial, if they have a technology that we don't that's doing this, we definitely need to know.
Well, it looks
I doubt that.
Well, there was that one online site that was talking about the Chinese freighters. They think that, which I think that's likely, is Chinese freighters using drones to assess.
Oh, yeah. But I know they don't have the flight characteristics of the Tic Tac thing.
No.
You know what I mean?
But they apparently have, the drones are sent out to collect radar and electronic information. So they fly around and surveil it, find out what frequencies they're using and all this other stuff. It's data collection for it's electronic warfare data collection is what the Chinese are doing, especially in San Diego, off the coast of San Diego, apparently. But nobody talks about it, I guess. I don't know why. So that's it. I mean, it's actually, this report was, I think this report was better than the last one. So
definitely an improvement. Yeah. I believe, I say so as well, but I'd rather have some details.
Yeah.
I mean, we have all these things, and they've outlined what they're going to do and who's going to report to AARO, and they've got every military. They listed every military, Army, Navy, Marines, Air Force. They didn't mention our space, the space fleet, whatever.
Oh, Space Force. Command. Space Force. But NASA's in there.
Is NASA space? Are they the same?
They're not. But they say NASA's involved in it. Space Force wasn't mentioned. That's actually a good.
They didn't even mention Space Force.
That's a good point.
I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah. So one of the things that's been coming so I'm reading on the history of the Apollo program. I've started reading some of these books, and I've gotten some really good histories that have been put out by NASA. One is on the development of the landing craft, lunar module landing craft called Chariots for Apollo, and the other one is the development of the Saturn rocket, which is or basically sort of the follow-up, which is got a great title called Where No Man Has Gone Before. And these are NASA histories. And I also picked up a couple books. Oh, and that book that on the Apollo launch that was had that note written in the front piece from Chris Kraft.
Yeah.
So and then I got a couple books on the geology of the moon. And one of the things that came up in this Frank Edwards book is he's speculating. He's saying why this big push for this moon program, this very expensive moon program. And he's speculating in that book it was to get basically get eyes on the moon and survey it and look for like alien bases, especially on the dark side of the moon.
No way, really?
Yeah.
I thought it was helium-3. I thought that's why we were going there. So we can...
That's new.
Because we can't really get,
to mine helium-3. So that's a new...
Is that a cover story? Is that a cover story?
For our current program. Well, he's talking about the old program in the 60s.
Yeah.
Helium-3 is the new...
Oh, really? They were supposed to look... Was that the plan in the 60s? To look for alien bases? This
is what he was speculating why there was this big push for the moon launch, is that they wanted to get eyes on the back of the moon. And Carl Sagan had speculated that if there was that the back of the moon would be a good place for alien bases.
Because we would never see them.
Yeah.
Until now.
And then
Did we land? We didn't land on the back.
Not on the back, because there's no radio communication. They have to do satellite. In the future they will have a cell phone network on the moon. Yeah.
Yeah. They already have stuff orbiting the moon, I think.
They do, I think. But he was speculating that this is the reason that the Russians, one of their probes went up and focused on photographing the dark side of the moon, the backside of the moon, was to look for alien bases. So he was saying, but it's something that's puzzled me. Is it's like, okay, so we had this big push to go to the moon, and it parallels this big investigation of the Condon Report on UFOs. And in 1972, approximately, the Apollo program ended, and the Condon Report came out and said UFOs were bogus. Oh, and the what's interesting too that Lee pointed out in his book is that the Socorro incident, which is a really well documented, good witness UFO sighting landing incident, was not included in the Condon Report on UFOs. It was excluded. But that was a complaint a lot of people had with the Condon Report, is because they didn't follow up real interesting reports, and they seemed to pick and choose what they would talk about.
Right.
Is that a new sticker on the wall behind you? On this?
Yes, that was Johnny went to Vegas for 4 days, left his dog with us during which our power was out.
Oh yeah, we want to talk about that. I want to talk about that.
He says it's I'm not saying it's aliens, but it's aliens. Anytime, see all my socks and my bumper sticker. Anytime anybody goes somewhere that knows us,
they give you alien stuff. Good job.
Birthday presents and statues of aliens. Anytime somebody. That'd be great. Doug would love that. And I need a bigger office. I need a bigger studio. I'm going to have to move to the game room.
You're going to have to open a museum. All right. So
when I die, people are going to be like, what do we do with this crap? They're going to donate it all.
It's going to go to Goodwill.
You ever think about that? When I die, with people, your wife's probably our wives are going to outlive us and be like, okay, time to get rid of this.
Oh, that's just a terrible mess. They're going to have to get rid of all this crap. I think, it's just a lot of garbage. A lot of junk to get
Yeah,
rid of. Need to
you
work on
hope
that.
that somebody will carry on the mission, but the confidence is not high that we have somebody that's, yeah, I guess MUFON. We could,
MUFON.
On my deathbed, I can contact MUFON and
Give it a move on.
hey, got anybody who wants all this stuff? Because
it might.
Anyway, it rained here. It's last
all
Saturday.
Right.
We'll
so
go into the last Saturday night
so
at midnight.
I have a joke for you. What did people in California have before candles?
Flint rock.
Electricity.
Trees, yeah,
Electricity. So you had 4 days of no electricity.
Yeah, I had 4. Well, Sunday. Yeah, 3 days. But Tuesday it was back on. Tuesday night.
So Saturday,
and plus it was
Sunday,
raining. It isn't
Monday,
the fact it
Tuesday,
was
so you had
raining
3 days.
every day.
Yeah.
It was raining every day hard, and then another storm came through, during which time a lightning storm came through. The worst I've ever seen here.
Wow.
And it was I had both dogs.
Oh, you had
Johnny's dog was not. We had Johnny's dog Aston here also, because Johnny was in Vegas, and everything's pouring, and it's it's funny because the first night I went to bed and we were talking about, is the water heater going to keep water hot?
Mm-hmm.
And we have a gas water heater, and I looked it up, and I thought, I have a gas fireplace too, and we're sitting here trying to be warm.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a candle, and I'm going, oh, wow, a little candle, it's putting out some heat. It wasn't terribly cold though, luckily. It was Pineapple Express kind of thing or whatever. And I'm reading in the middle of the night on my tablet, which I had to use one of those charger things that holds the charge, so you can charge.
To keep it
charged.
Debbie
had gotten one of those. The night before, I let my stuff run all the way down, and I didn't charge it, of course. The one night I don't plug anything in.
Yeah.
And you can't go without communication devices. So I was able to charge my phone fully and then my tablet half. So I'm reading about the water heater, and I go, I wonder if my gas fireplace will work. And so you have to lift off. What's that?
Yeah, go on. So you had, did you have internet? You didn't. You could get internet through your no internet through your cell phone.
I hotspotted my phone. Yeah,
you could hotspot your phone. Okay, yeah. So the cellular network was working. Okay.
Yeah, cellular was working.
Okay.
I got a notice that the cable was back on. Of course, it doesn't do any good. The best part is I have a 3,000 watt generator.
Mm-hmm.
But I moved it down from when I moved my other location.
Yeah.
Moved it down here, and it promptly developed a gas leak, which was a gas. It's probably just the line, the gas line split or whatever. And I know Debbie says, the power only usually goes off for a few hours here, if it ever goes off when stuff happens. So I didn't bother fixing it. I'm like,
it's an hour. It's another hour. It's
another hour.
Then
a couple hours, another, then a day, then 2 days.
All right,
so it's going in the shop today. That's going in the shop today.
To get fixed. Okay, so was your power out at your work?
No, only briefly. And
wow, so your work's not that far away, but you didn't have power for 3 days.
6 miles.
Yeah.
Okay. And, well, the problem here was, and then we reported on SMUD.
Yeah.
Sacramento Municipal Utilities District, and we finally we reported online, because you can go to your account and report online, and then it says, no outages are reported in your area. And my whole street was out. It wasn't just us. Mm-hmm. I mean, we have 20. I counted the houses that were out at night. I went up. There's 26 houses on my street. Everything else was lit all around us.
Huh.
So there's some sort of, so Debbie ended up calling. And then it gives you instructions how to reset your breaker. And I'm like, okay, well, if we have the meter is digital. If your meter's not working, if it's not lit, you don't have power.
Okay.
So they told our neighbor, it's like, you need to flip these breakers and all. She's flipping her breakers. Her husband's got cancer. And I've got the woman across the street's a widow. I've got this group of, this is the husband death street. I'm waiting for my turn.
We've had three men. My neighborhood is not very big, but we've had two younger husbands died, and then an elderly man passed away recently.
So you got the same thing going on, so watch out.
Yeah.
So
it's great.
we're in contact with our immediate neighbors forward in our little group here on the street. And it's, we ended up calling. Debbie had the same thing when she finally got through. They said, we don't show an outage on your street. It's like, look, there's no power. There's 26 homes without power here. I don't know why you don't show it on your grid. And they do everything by how many are out. So there was literally over 300,000, might have been closer to 400,000 homes. And I don't know what the total of and in Sacramento only. It's in this area and Yolo County, the immediate area.
Yeah.
It's a hell of a lot of outages. And there's like 987 incidents. So what that means is each one of those incidents controls a certain amount of the outages.
Yeah.
So there's 987 things they got to fix to get 400,000 people power.
Wow.
So there's simply not so they're operating on the thing. Well, this incident controls 100 people or 1,000 or 2,000. That goes first.
Yeah.
Ours doesn't even show, so we're not on the radar. So everybody's calling on the street. These group of 4 or 3. We're in close contact with 2 of our other neighbors. So it goes through, and finally it's sad. There's no date because it'll give you a date of. In a couple of days it'll be on our day. And it was supposed to go on Wednesday. They showed it. It was Tuesday, and it's supposed to come on Wednesday, and then it showed Thursday, and everybody started getting a little twitchy by then. It's funny because there's people all across the U.S. like hurricanes are out forever, and we got a few days, and we're like not liking it.
Well, with the most recent hurricane, I think. 2 weeks down in the Tampa area, which is a long time. So, and we were out once for 36 hours with one of the hurricanes.
Yeah, and you guys are much more prepared for this type of thing than we are, obviously. Yeah. But there are trees, dude. You wouldn't believe the amount of big trees that are falling on lines, and it looked like it. I'd drive to work, and it just looked like war. It was. I don't know what came. It was 60 to 80 mile an hour winds or something.
Wow.
And so finally on Tuesday, anyway, we were showing Thursday, and that's when the group got together, and I went across the street because I have a widow over there. I want to make sure she was okay. And then the other neighbor came up, and then they said that Smud was here one day, like Monday, and climbed a pole, and then they thought it was going to go on, and they didn't do anything. It didn't do anything.
Yeah, the power's out.
We need to talk to somebody. So finally gave us Thursday, but on Tuesday night, a Smud truck shows up, so I'm in my sweats and my bare feet in the rain, and I'm walking. I'm like, I'm going to talk to this guy.
Yeah.
And he's telling me, he goes, yeah, we're going to energize it, but we're clearing the line. He didn't tell me. I assumed Thursday because that was the day it said. And we're going to energize the line. So, and he's cutting branches away to make sure everything's clear because it's something east of us that fell on some wires.
Okay.
And so on the site. So anyway, on the site, you can show the outage site, and it was just a few things. And then all of a sudden it went to 46. So I think we got bumped up the food chain. And so I'm chatting with the guy really nice. He goes, yeah, we're doing what we can. But I go, I get it. We're showing that. He goes, yeah, we know you guys are out. And so he looked over my shoulder and then looked at me, and I turned around, and there's three old ladies, which was my wife, and 2 of the other neighbors marching up the street in their robes towards us.
Oh, with pitchforks. With pitchforks.
I looked and I go, dude, you're on your own. And I left. I said, I've got all. I just walked by them. And they didn't even look at me. And they're just focusing on this dude.
One had a pitchfork. One had a rolling pin.
And the other one had like his torch.
Yeah. Pitchforks and
light they had and all the
torches.
So,
all right. So I
went up and talked to this poor guy.
Yeah.
And so Debbie only spent a couple minutes there. She says, I'm not going to, she goes, I know he's doing what he can. So I'm not going to, I don't know what the other 2 stayed with him. So I don't know what they were doing.
I want to make sure.
And then 10 minutes, I think then 10 minutes later, everything went on. So I think he was on the radio and said, we're clear all the way to the site. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So he was the
And
last sort of
yeah,
bit of
he was the last one, making
yeah.
sure no tree branches were on
Okay.
anything else getting
Cool.
to us.
Nice.
And yeah, they went on, and then that's basically. But the worst part was we had the 14-month-old golden retriever that's hell on wheels in the dark.
Oh, your son's dog.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Johnny's dog was with us, and the worst part was that he's hell on wheels. So my dog's he's 5, so he's and he's trained.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
dog is ill-mannered, and it jumps on everything. And Debbie is a real disciplinarian. So by the time the power went on, he was pretty well. And then Johnny didn't get it till Thursday, but
So he was getting sort of some discipline in his life.
I call it the longest week. And I think it was
All
really
right.
the longest week only because I had 2 3-day holiday week.
So
I work 5 days,
So I got a question. So your water heater, you could get hot water.
Yeah.
All right. So the water heater, did you have to manually turn it on, or did it still run automatically?
No, it just worked. It just worked. And the fireplace, anyway, when I was looking online that night, I go, I wonder how do I light my fireplace because it's brand new. You can't. The old days, you would have like a key, turn it on.
Yeah, turn the gas on
and then fire. Well, now for safety reasons, they don't do that. So it shows this video, and it was funny because it looked like the exact gas fireplace we have.
Mm-hmm.
You just lift off the glass cover and pry off this cover in the bottom, access cover.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, yeah, and there's a little battery pack. And you just put the 4 AA batteries in there, and you go. Oh, we have a remote.
And then that's just the automatic. You just have to have the batteries in it, and
I can't tell you how because I don't like being cold.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how I felt when I took the glass thing off, and the access cover. There's a bar, but behind the bar, I could see the empty battery tray in there, knowing
just like happiness.
That all I have to do, is pry off that little bar. And put some batteries in there, and that thing fired right up and gave me heat, and I slept.
You slept curled up right in front of it with the dog. You and the dog.
We
curled up.
The dog. The dog hates the fireplace, dude.
Oh,
he hates it.
Why?
I think it makes a noise.
It must make a
weird noise.
Yeah, it must make a supersonic noise. It's like irritating.
When he sees me grab the remote to start it, he runs away. The brave German Shepherd, the 85-pound German Shepherd.
It was. Oh, he's that light? I thought he was like 130 pounds.
No, the other one was 135.
Oh,
Bucky was big. Bucky was the big boy.
Okay.
So Max just runs off. He does not like the fireplace.
Going in the other room.
No, but I curled up. I have that couch that has kind of a return on it that faces the fireplace, and I went to sleep in 2 seconds. I had my fire. It was warm.
Good, nice.
And it'll heat the whole living room. It'll heat up. It's really good. It'll heat up the whole living room. Of course, Debbie's, at her age doesn't like to be warm. So, too warm.
So basically, it wasn't because you had gas. It wasn't that bad.
No, if you have hot water and heat, you just light and then you hotspot your phone. It's like, I like TV though. So it was kind of like.
So you had a vacation. You had a vacation.
Yeah, I talked to my brother in Texas, and he goes, they have this weird power company there. I don't know, but he says, yeah, it's pretty typical to be out for a few days. He'll always have a generator on hand.
Oh, in Texas, he
probably has a commercial one.
Yeah, we have 2 neighbors, and that have natural gas generators, backup generators. And one neighbor, she's an elderly woman, and the neighbor across the way from her, one of them I think uses like an oxygen generator or something like that. We have some elderly people, So that when the power was out the last time, and it was out for 6 hours or 8 hours, it was overnight or something like that. And they got up and they look out, and their neighbor across the way has power. So they went over there and they said, "How do you have electricity?" And no one else has electricity. She goes, "Oh, I have a natural gas generator. It's tied in with the gas line." I gotta hang on.
Those are the best.
So they had one put on. So I would joke to say that they looked across, and the lady across the street is dancing and drinking champagne while everyone else doesn't have any electricity. Dancing to music and drinking champagne while no one else has electricity. But
I
yeah,
definitely was drinking a couple screwdrivers helped me get through the night. Yeah, but the at the end of our street, this guy that's got always doing work on his house, his lights were on, so I know he has a
he had a
generator.
generator. Okay.
Yeah, he had all. Yeah, he has a commercial. He has. Well, I don't want to say commercial, residentials like yours does. I would like to put one of those in. I mean, I could probably, but on the off chance that this just doesn't happen that often, you know
Well,
what I mean?
I think the only
If we
thing do you have a cutoff? The only thing you need is like a cutoff. So if you plug your generator in, you can cut it off from the grid, so you don't.
we just yeah yeah we I'm just gonna use I have the portable one we used when Johnny was racing.
Yeah,
It's newer. It's a Yamaha
yeah.
3000 watt. It'll run. We had when I was up the hill and I lived up there. We did one time. It snowed up
Mm-hmm.
there and it never because they're only 1200 feet, but it snowed pretty good. And the power and then it blew up some sort of power thing
Yeah,
and transformer or whatever. You could hear you'd see it explode and then the lights go out.
yeah.
It's like,
We
oh,
we had we
well, it
had
might be a minute for that to be fixed.
yeah
So
we had one of those too, where it was like a massive explosion on the road behind us, and it was like, and then the power went
the
out, and you're
lights
going,
go out.
okay, that's going to be a little bit.
You kind of know.
Yeah, that's going to be
So
a minute.
the up there they went out and then I ran. You take the generator, you just run a couple extension cords.
Mm-hmm.
It's newer, so you just run a couple extension cords. Hook your coffee maker, your lights, your TV. We had a
Just
satellite then. Satellite didn't work, and then I went outside and there was snow all over the dish. So I just brushed off the snow and
and then
started
that worked.
working.
Okay.
And we had light. Yeah, we had every heat, and then we had portable. Hooked a couple portable heaters up. We were down in that lower. We have a
Mm-hmm.
lower area down there, and we just all huddled down there and we just coffee maker. I mean, it was like
Yeah. So you just
TV. I mean, it's like
it's
it
nothing.
was like not even having a problem. You know, your refrigerators, obviously. You
Well,
know,
if it's
or
frozen outside, you
yeah,
just throw the food outside if you don't want to do the.
it's yeah at that point. But down here it was a warm storm. We lost food, but you can I texted you guys.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, we can put in a claim for whatever food we lost.
That's actually
Like
pretty
it's their
slick.
fault.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
but it's like, you know what? I mean, it's cool that they're doing that, but it's like, I don't even really blame them.
no, you can't.
It's
You
like,
can't.
I wouldn't blame Smud for this. I mean, I agree that they're doing this. We're probably not even going to file a claim.
Yeah.
You know, it's
The
people that need.
the
I don't really.
the 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 power guys that I've talked to, when you see them out working and stuff, they're usually they're awesome. I mean,
Yeah,
um,
they are, but they are cool, and they know
yeah,
what you know.
yeah,
They're trained. They know what they're doing. They're doing the best they
yeah,
can. They're
yeah.
working as many hours as they want. Got to be safe. I mean, it's raining still, and they're
We
doing
had
power shit.
I've told this story before, but we lost half our power, and the guys, they finally came out and they were fixing it, and they were literally, the power box is in the ground out front, and they were literally repairing the wires underwater. And I'm like,
Ah,
yeah, and I'm like,
wow.
and the guy, yeah, the guy's like, oh, he says, I used to be a lineman up in Seattle, Washington. He goes, I worked underwater all the time there. He goes, this is nothing. So, and he was training a apprentice. So they were like, he was training. I watched him for a little bit. He was training him, and they had to. They are really strict training protocols. So the
Oh
apprentices
yeah,
build up, sort of up to a certain level. So
yeah,
he had to. The senior guy was explaining things to the apprentice as he was doing stuff, and then he had to set it up to the point where the apprentice could actually touch it. But he had to do certain things to, because the apprentice didn't have the progression to
yeah,
do things.
yeah.
So it was pretty impressive how they were working. Yeah, it was interesting because he was like explaining it it was fun to
Dangerous.
watch.
So dangerous.
Oh, I wouldn't
Crowd.
want to do it, but it was fun because it's like to watch the guy work with the apprentice. It was really interesting to watch. Um, But yeah, I loved it. The guy goes, "Yeah, I used to be a lineman in Seattle." He goes, "I worked underwater all the time." He goes, "This is nothing." At least I'm not in the water working on it." He's just had to put his hands
Yeah.
into the thing.
Good
So,
Lord.
but
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, I'm impressed. So I had to tell you the last story about what happened. So I'm going to work and down the street before I get out to the main road, and the power was still off this day. I don't know which day. It was Monday, I think.
yeah,
And I see a utility truck, so I'm driving. I'm seeing if it's a SMUD truck, because I was going to kind of ask them. They don't answer any. They go, we go one job to the next. We don't know anything. So
yeah.
I was looking to see if it was a SMUD truck, but it's some other kind of utility. And I look up, and they're right in front of me is yellow tape. And a tree and a power pole down in the middle of the street. So I slammed on my brakes. I missed. I was stopped before I hit the tape. I would have had a little more room before I hit the pole in the tree. I would be okay. So I had to back up. I mean, it looked like, these people had this stucco fence.
Uh-huh.
Those type like Adobe style. I mean, it's a multi-million-dollar home down there.
Yeah, yeah.
And the tree crushed. I mean, it just crushed this thing. And so over time, the street was closed for a couple days, and then by the end of the week, I was able to get through because they closed the road there at the
Yeah.
turn. You can go around it,
Yeah.
another street. And I walked by. Well, what they did is they cut the tree. It was funny. They cut the tree right at the fence, just enough to do
Yeah.
what they needed to do.
Well,
And then it's called it's like just destroyed this.
Was it real Adobe mud or just made to look like that?
I don't know. I didn't
Yeah.
look that closely. I don't think it's that. I don't know. It's
'Cause
been there
a
long
while.
time.
Because there was the Adobe
Yeah.
Center where we grew up. Remember the art center?
Yeah, and it was Adobe.
It was Adobe. So
Yeah.
it's like when the bricks would they were Adobe and they were glazed or something, and when the bricks would break, it was like mud. It was just like mud on the inside.
Yeah. It was horrible. I mean, and then I had to go to the doctor yesterday. So I drove down another way and down a main street down towards Sacramento, and there was so many like piles of wood where the trees had fallen and they cut things up. And that's your tree. So if it's in the street, they take care of it, but they leave the wood there because it's your tree.
Yeah,
you got to figure out how to get the wood out of there.
Well, what happened here is that we had a big storm recently, and a tree came down across the street and blocking the road. And there's, we're private neighborhood, so there's like nobody, no services come out. So it's like this one older guy down the street just grabbed his little chainsaw, comes out there, and it's such a Florida sight. The guy's out there in a t-shirt, shorts, and flip-flops.
Yeah.
With a little chainsaw working on this tree
little tree trimmer chainsaw.
Yeah, and this was a big tree, and he's out there doing that. And so I went out there with the other neighbor, and we were helping to haul. He was chopping things up and hauling them off to the side, but it was like this guy was the way he was cutting once. I actually put my hand on his shoulder because he was like heading right for his leg, and it's like oh, okay, all right, maybe you should shift position. But yeah, and he's just like guys out there, shorts, older guy out there with shorts and flip flops and a chainsaw. So it's a very Florida thing. So
we've got a couple big trees here. One of them it hasn't changed position or anything, but it grows, and it's kind of the top is kind of made a little hook. It's kind of hanging in the direction of my game room on that side of the house. So we're Monday. I asked the tree service. It's going to be like the thing is easily 60 feet tall. Oh, it's crazy.
You going to do the whole tree or just trim it?
No, we're going to take the whole tree out. It's going to be 2,000-3,000 probably to take that thing out. But we'll have the stump ground down and all that. I don't need it. We just don't want to risk it. There's another one on the other side that's I'm a little concerned about, but it looks pretty anchored. I'm hoping that one will be okay.
Well, with the winds and the storm you had, that should take care of all the weak stuff.
But this one, the way it's hooking at the top, and it's not major, but you can tell it's kind of tilted.
Yeah,
right? It's up. It's weird. It's straight, and then I'm like, it could break. Maybe it's in the middle. It could get raw. I don't know. It's going to come right down on the game room, and we've
Oh,
had
yeah.
people die here from giant trees falling on
Yeah.
their houses.
No, that
And
happens. It happens. It's
one homeless lady was in her tent, and a tree fell on her and killed her, and just
Hey, what happened with the homeless encampment on the island in the river?
well, you can still see a few what's left of tents. There's no people there though. The
Everyone
water
got
release out of Folsom is pretty. Yeah,
pretty
they
intense.
moved out.
Okay.
Well, one of them moved into an area where Debbie walks the dog, and there's an area on the shore.
Uh-huh.
And they built it there's a little tent encampment inside these tree areas, and then they promptly lit a fire and
burnt the whole place down.
Yeah, the fire department was there, and the Rangers were there.
There was.
I mean, I feel bad for them. They don't have a home. Well, Debbie gets online and she talks. They have phones. It's
of course, everyone has phones. Yeah. Well,
so
you can
she goes online.
Yeah.
Debbie, it's not Facebook. I don't know. It's Neighborhood
Watch or Neighborhood.
And, and Debbie will take a picture of the tent city on the island, and I don't really pay. I just don't pay. I'm sorry for them. I wish we could somehow help them.
Yeah.
I think it's whatever situation got them in it. It's unfortunate.
When I was commuting to Stanford, they had these, the clover leaves. There was this one clover leaf to 101, and they have these. They have these triangle areas. And one of these was a beautifully wooded with redwoods and stuff like that. And people had set up a homeless encampment in there. And it was like the most perfect place to have a homeless encampment. And eventually the cops moved them out. And the thing that was really sad out there is that the people in the homeless encampments out there in Palo Alto, they're not like the ones in San Francisco, or I don't know what, a lot of them. They weren't drug addicts. They were immigrant labor. So
really?
Yeah. These are the people that the university would subcontract to janitorial services, and they're all illegals. So these people, they rent an apartment, and 15 people will live in a 1-bedroom apartment and hot cot it, or they'll set up tents in like these little areas and stuff like that. So it's really it's awful.
Yeah, I don't know I'm not militant about, it's an unfortunate thing. I think we're trying to get some programs together to get them help. But they built all these tiny homes, and it's funny, we see them on TV. There's like 200 of these tiny homes. They're not even, they're tinier than tiny. They're little shelters.
Yeah.
And they're made out of wood, and they have roofs and windows and things. And they're sitting in this lot. Nobody's living. They're not allowing people to live in them. It's like, can you do something with these? Can you put them so people can get out of the rain and the weather? And I don't know. It's just unfortunate. But Debbie's, they're in the park, and she walks the dog.
She's concerned.
Well, they're not. The problem is not really the problem. The situation is they're not. They leave their garbage all over the place. I don't know if we need to put dumpsters there, and
that's
garbage cans in the park.
Yeah,
but they have a tendency to just
live
in squalor. And that's, if you just have a tent, it looks like you're up in the woods, and it's a tent camp, and people are dealing with they're just staying there. It's a little different kind of a situation. I don't know why that happens. It's like, but so that's what, I don't want to say enraged, but it's pretty close. When she sees that, then the dog there's broken glass. Dog cut his foot on the glass that somebody,
leaves and
left out there. She's picking broken mirror pieces. What happens is things are picked up that are late, in homes in the area that aren't nailed down, and they just drag it down there. And it's not really from our area, but closer to the river. And it's live and let live is the way I look at it. And hopefully we can get them help. But anyway, the island city is underwater.
Underwater.
You can see what's up.
I saw a thing that California has like 1/3 of the homeless in the country.
Yeah, well, it's pretty. The weather is such that you could, you could do it, I guess.
Summer,
but it's funny,
summer in Sacramento. Summer in Sacramento.
Yeah, 115 one day
Yeah,
last year.
yeah, I know. It's not
So the wouldn't be ideal, but it's not every day like that. I guess it could be okay if you're in the shade, and
well,
I guess they're. I don't know how they eat. I guess maybe I guess they're on disability, or I don't know where they get their money. It's hard to say.
yeah, I think most of the people probably get a disability check. We've talked about that with
Yeah, yeah.
my
Hopefully,
friend of my brother's used to live on the street in San Francisco. A friend
yeah.
guy that my brother went to high school with, and he was on disability, and that's a story in itself. Uh,
Oh
so
yeah.
so yeah, Brian. So you
Yep.
remember Brian Doak?
Is he still alive?
I don't know. I don't know.
I
I
remember
would,
we'd be at your house, and he and your brother would just come walking up.
yeah, be hanging out.
They lived somewhere else, but they would
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
show up.
They
It was
um
interesting.
yeah, no, he was okay.
They were
Yeah.
both of them were very friendly.
No,
It wasn't
Brian was
like
a great guy. It's just I mean, it's one of those situations where he's was a person that just sort of fell through the cracks. And you see
yeah.
that with his parents apparently were very wealthy, and yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, it happens. I mean, you got the kid that's just sort of gets messed up somehow. But yeah, he was around.
Well,
He lived with us
it's
for a while, so he was a good guy. But last time I saw him, he was panhandling on the street in San Francisco. But he would,
oh well.
yeah. But I don't know. I would be surprised if he was still alive. That's a rough way to live. So
Yeah, well, they don't really deal with that. They don't go to the doctor, and things come up,
yeah,
and
yeah. This
you
is.
know,
I mean, we. He was telling me once that when he was younger, his parents. I think they said, well, let's go out for McDonald's, and they took him out to McDonald's and did the drive-through, and then they took him to a mental hospital and dropped him off when he was like a
it's
teenager.
fun.
Yeah, it's just horrible. It's just like, what, your parents said, let's go to McDonald's, and they took you to and put you in a mental hospital? It's like, yeah, yeah. They just took me to McDonald's, and then they just dropped me off
You
and
just drop
left.
them off, huh?
Yeah, just
That's
dropped him,
interesting.
walked him in, and said, "You're here for now." I don't know how that works, but yeah, it's like, oh, it was just horrible, absolutely horrible.
You always see those old movies where the guys come to your house in the white coats and take you away
With,
because
with the nets,
somebody reported you crazy
with the
in a
nets.
net. Of course, they don't use nets, but cartoons, you see the cartoons and stuff. It's
Yeah,
like, I
yeah,
mean, that's really unfortunate. Things happen to people. It's just situation,
yeah, yeah.
you know.
So it's we're coming up on an hour. You want to keep going? You want to talk about some other things
I think we can save these
for the next
since we had
time?
the storm hour.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think I was interested in hearing about that. The
Yeah, it wasn't horrible. Just it was a little crazy with the dog, but he's a great dog.
oh yeah,
So if he gets,
okay,
we never had to put him
so
at night. He
why?
would stay in the crate.
What is going on? You have to know. This seems to be a thing. I've seen it online. What is this with crate training? What's that all
Crate
about?
training is when they just stay in the crate during the night, and you let them out to pee in the morning, and then if you go to work, you put them in the crate.
That sounds so
They don't
horrible.
roam.
It
Yeah, well,
sounds
you and I grew up where you go to work, your dog is in the backyard of your.
yeah, yeah.
Did Clouseau stay in the house, or did you guys keep
No,
him in the back?
no.
You just go in the
Why
backyard,
would we
and
torture him like that?
yeah, and we had a huge up there where we grew up. You had a huge covered like a barbecue area. Remember, he had
Yeah, we had
a
a
lot of space to get out
he
of.
had a place where he could get out of the
A
rain.
huge place,
He had a
yeah,
big
and we do
yard.
too here.
Yeah.
We do too here, and that's great. There's more to it, I think, than that. But he's crate trained, so you can literally you go to work and you don't you put him in. But Max is you just so Aston had to be in the crate, and Debbie only works certain amount of hours during the week, so he didn't have to be in there too much. But especially that week, because when you're With the state, if you're out of power, they give you leave. You
Oh,
don't have to.
you don't have to show up.
No, you can show up until you get your stuff back. So then, and Max could roam the house. So Max got to go into the game room and look at him. Go, yeah, you're in jail. I get to wander the house.
I have a big. Oh, there he goes. Oh, so big peregrine falcon.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, just roosted on this tree right out the window. I was going to try and get a picture with my phone, but he took off when I raised
Looking for something to eat.
Yeah, squirrel.
Little rabbit or squirrel.
Squirrel.
You have a lot of squirrels there?
Oh, yeah. He took off when I raised the shade a little bit. It would have taken, he's literally 15 feet away. But, I mean, he's like, oh, can't even, he was like that tall.
Big one, huh?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. That's the joy of a rural area. So yeah, crate training, I don't understand it. It's just I know it's a thing now, but I can't imagine leaving a dog in a crate while you're at work all day. That's just like
the problem here. A lot of the houses don't have. Johnny leaves his, and he doesn't let him just roam the backyard. I've always had dogs that just stay in the backyard. Generally, Max is at an age now where he doesn't bother anything, and he just he has a bed that he hops up on and looks out the window and barks at people walking by, and it's generally quiet here. But he doesn't chew. When we first got him when he was 2, he chewed up a dog bed and like tore it up and scattered it all across the living room. I got that text picture at work. Somebody wasn't too thrilled about that.
Got to work those teeth. Work those teeth in.
Yeah, we were like, hey, so we're gonna have to leave him in the backyard. And luckily, we've got the pool guy and the landscape. And he doesn't go to anybody. So, but he's gotten out before. They'll open the RV gate and do the lawn in the front. And then one time he escaped out. I think I showed you guys that he escaped. Debbie was looking for her shoe. He likes her shoes.
Yeah.
He kind of tells her it's time, but she had muddy shoes. Left him on the front porch. Well, the landscaper left the gate open, and he ran out, grabbed one of her shoes, and then ran back in the backyard and then buried it.
And buried it?
They're like, they were very expensive.
Did you unbury it?
Like Fleet Feet to buy her shoes.
Did you
unburied it?
And they were okay?
I didn't. I didn't. But she couldn't find her shoe for the longest time. She's like, "What happened to my? Did somebody steal one shoe off the?" And then we looked at the camera and we got a picture of him running. We got a still of him running.
You sent me that picture of him running up into the yard.
His shoe in his mouth. He didn't want to run away. He just wanted to come to the porch and grab that shoe and then run back in the backyard.
Gotta bury that shoe. Gotta bury it.
You need to take me. It'll teach you to not take me for a walk. Because she takes him to the river every day. And if he gets upset, he'll grab a shoe.
And bury it.
If she's sitting here in the living, we'll sit in the living room and he'll all of a sudden appear with a shoe from the bedroom and drop it in front of the TV and then just look at her.
Yeah, it's time. It's time to go.
I think it's time to go for a walk.
Time to go. You want this shoe?
It's the only way.
You want this shoe? Do you want me to bury this shoe? You have some. This is like a mafia. Talk. This is like mafia things. These shoes. It's nice to have nice shoes. I know. It's nice. You have some nice shoes. You got some nice shoes here. It's nice to have some nice shoes.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Max is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But other dog, he was fine by the end because Debbie does not put up with unruly behavior. So
That's good.
He was calm. He was calmed down, and then they showed up, and he went wild again. I said, "Okay, it's like grand dog. Okay, take your grand dog.
All right, well,
you're out."
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize that dogs like interaction and they like training. They like being trained. They like to do things. Oh, I was doing circus cat. So I had 3 bar stools, 3 or 4, 3 bar stools and a stool. So I put the cat on a stool and then I would go, okay, come on, come up here. So I got the cat to jump up the stool to 1 bar stool. And then I, tapped on the next bar stool, got the cat to jump to the next bar stool, and then got it to do the third bar stool. So I got the cat to do the thing. And then I wanted it to come, then I wanted it to come back. And I was tapping on the next bar stool for the return trip, and the cat's looking at me, and it reaches up and put its paw on the edge of the next bar stool, stretched out to touch the next bar stool, and then just fell. It just completely fell and like landed on his side on the thing, and then ran off and hid behind the couch. And I'm like, oh, so I traumatized the cat while trying to train circus cats. So I should try that again. But the cat was so upset because it's like, okay, do you want me to go here? You want me to go here? And then he just like
stretch.
It just like fell. It's just like he put his paw on the stool and it shifted slightly. And then he fell. So that was the end of his circus training.
All right. Well, we'll pick up the rest of it. We had a couple things to talk about.
We will come back to if I'm working myself up to read my rant in defense of Travis Taylor.
Yeah, we didn't get to hear that today.
Nah, it's
Travis Taylor. It's not just Travis Taylor. What is it? Travis Taylor.
Travis Taylor. My 3-page rant that I wrote in defense of Travis Taylor. And then we should come back and talk about the basement office thing. 2.5 pages on Travis Taylor. The basement office, we should still talk about that. I think we barely touched on that last time with the Skinwalker Ranch.
Oh, the number 4.
Yeah. We touched on it. And we should come back to that.
And then Mount Wilson, even though Mount Wilson just seems like a grab to
Mount Wilson. I might look at some more.
I tried looking at some other things, and they've got a Facebook. That's where you call if you want to make a reservation.
Well, they got one of the guys has YouTube videos where they're doing their sort of investigation.
Yeah.
I think they're trying to be like Skinwalker Ranch or Blind Frog Ranch. Also, I want to talk about Jacques Vallée's books.
Jacques Vallée.
We haven't read them, but I want to talk about this one. This one, I particularly want to read the. I'll talk about a little background about his books, but I want to read the book flap from this. I think that'll be interesting. We'll do that next time. Didn't get to that.
Sounds good. Remind me when I send you the list and just say.
Yeah, I'll throw it. I mean, I want to talk. I have this here. It's something I want to talk about. Jacques Vallée's. Sort of research into UFOs is something we should consider looking into. I think because he's been doing it forever. I mean, he's dedicated.
Still alive.
Yeah.
Still alive.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So
cool. Ready to wrap it up?
Yes, let's wrap it up.
Thanks for listening to the latest episode of the Alien Probe Podcast. We welcome comments, questions, or requests to alienprobepodcast@gmail.com. Visit us on Facebook at Alien Probe Podcasts. Check out all of our episodes. Check us on alienprobe.net. That's our website. Twitter and Instagram at Alien Probe Pod. We'll be putting together Patreon for the episodes that are dropping off of our podcast platform. So you'll be able to hear the perfect, nice old ones where I couldn't figure out my microphone. Check us on YouTube at Alien Probe Podcast. Thanks to our senior producer, Hollywood Robert Anthony. Of course, as always, Dr. Bill. We'll see you next week.
Okay. We'll see you next week. Watch the skies.
Watch the skies.